Hi, everybody. Tim Hughes here. I'm the CEO and co-founder of DLA Ignite. With me today, I've got Elaina, and we're going to be talking about the 7 big secrets of influence, why influence is so important. We're going to dig really deep into that during the 20 minutes. Elaina, tell people where they can get hold of you.
Okay, so my email address is EZ. If you're in the UK, you would say Z.
We would.
EZ for you at ezinfluence.com.
So do it if you're from North America.
And then if you're in US, you would do EZ for you at, that's the letter Z, number 4, letter U, at easyinfluence.com. Easy
And you're
Influence.
and
Got
you're
it?
also you're very active on LinkedIn as well, aren't you?
I'm very active on LinkedIn. I do have a company page, which I recommend to everyone. However, you can simply look under my own name, and that's ZUK no C. The commonly spelled version of my family name is ZUCK, but mine has no C.
It's a silent C.
It doesn't even exist.
Okay.
It's like not silent, it's not there.
So Elaina, thank you so much for coming on and talking about influence. I
My
think
pleasure.
it's a subject that I think is talked about a lot, but is not really understood. It's a bit like the word value. Nobody actually really knows what value means.
Yes.
So why does influence matter?
Oh, great. Okay. Well, it's interesting because I've been teaching and writing about influence for, I don't know, 25 years.
And you
And
have a book, don't you?
I do have a book,
Do you want to mention the book?
which is in its 6th or 7th edition. And it's called The 7 Secrets of Influence. And I'll get to that in a minute. But there's a new 2021, very current version. And I also, as you probably know, I have a corporate course on the secrets of influence, which is a trademarked course. And I recently created, during a COVID project, a 12 module e-learning version of the one-day seminar. So anybody can learn it at their own pace, in your home office or car. And it's very reasonable. And that link will be on the at the end.
Yes, so it's in the comments on LinkedIn, and it will be in the show notes on YouTube as well. So why does influence matter, Elaina?
Okay. So why it matters, as I said, the word influencer is kind of like a big catchword, a meme right now, but it really doesn't mean anything because even if you have a couple 100,000 followers on Instagram, it's a very fickle audience. They don't know you, and they can vanish overnight with the next shiny object to follow. So why influence matters now is that there is.
So if I'm a mere mortal,
Yeah.
and if I've only got a couple of hundred followers on Instagram, or I've only got like 1,000 connections on it just seems like too big a mountain to climb.
Well, it doesn't matter.
Why is it important then?
Okay. First of all, the number of followers doesn't really matter. What matters is the quality. Influence is a quality, it's a set of skills that anyone can learn, practice, and master. So, unlike the conventional wisdom, it's not magic. It's not that some people have it and others don't, because even like magic, it requires a lot of learning and practice behind the scenes so that it comes out looking effortless. But why it's important is that, as we all know, change is rampant, and both the amount of change and the rate of change is galloping. And so it used to be that either your network of contacts would be great to guarantee your success, or your professional expertise. But even those can vanish overnight with the next new technical iteration or corporate merger, etc. So what I say is that we need something inside, what I call portable power. That is, it's a set of skills that you have, you own, and they're with you wherever you happen to land up.
Right.
And so, also, I think that one of the biggest things that people get out of learning influence skills is confidence.
Yes.
And confident communication is, let's face it, a great part of being successful.
Mm.
So let me get to some of the changes that are going on globally, and then I'll talk a little bit about personally about the secrets.
Yep.
So some of the changes going on globally are competition between companies. You are even competing with your peers.
Yes.
When I go to your profile on LinkedIn and I can show you how to fix that, I see 6 of your competitors, right? So they may even be your colleagues.
Yes. So for people watching, if you haven't switched it off, the standard LinkedIn basically says this is your profile, and it down the side on the right hand side it
It
says
says
these
you
are the
may
people.
also view.
These so quite often what happens is that when someone comes to your LinkedIn profile, they can actually see 6 competitors down.
And you don't want that. So if I'm looking for Tim for your expertise, and your line is busy or something, then I'm going to go to the next. Why would you help me find your competitors?
Yep.
So very important to turn that off. So there's also the need for innovation. We're all being pressed to come up with cost efficient ways of doing things.
Yep.
But, even the best idea can die on the vine if you don't have the influence skills to sell it to someone who can make it happen. I can prove I have a file cabinet full of dusty ideas that never saw the light of day because I may not have been able to sell it.
Yep.
So, as I said, there are many changes going on. There's also organizational structures. So, whether you're inside an organization or a vendor like I am selling to them, it's very confusing because organizations used to be very clear in the military kind of organization, top down. It wasn't very democratic, but you knew who was on top. But now things are much more kind of flattened, more network kind of organization. And so people often have more authority, more responsibility than authority.
Yes.
And you just don't know who you're reporting to.
Mm.
I just wanted to mention parenthetically, and that's on my LinkedIn from today and yesterday. I conducted a poll on LinkedIn, and the results are there in my post, so I won't go into it. But the main finding was that the biggest influence challenge for members of LinkedIn was influencing upward,
Yeah.
influencing upper management. And that was consistent through all the votes.
I think it's certainly when I worked in corporate, um, that was a skill to learn, which is that whatever you do, whether you have people that report to you or whether you're an individual contributor, you can't tell people what to do anymore. It just doesn't. It
Exactly.
just doesn't happen. So you have to learn a skill of being able to influence people to get people to do. You might need to get people to do stuff, and that's a way of influence. Totally.
Now, I love your title, Social Selling,
Mm.
because, and you might want to use this, there was a study done by the World Economic Forum.
Mm.
I think it was just about a year ago.
Mm.
You might want to look that up. And it surveyed executives in corporations asking what are some of the skills that are growing in necessity and which ones are declining.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, with AI, certain repetitive tasks are declining in importance, but one of the top ones was what they called social influence.
Right.
So
I'm going to look that up.
it's a good thing for you to quote.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've
Uh,
got a note.
okay. So let me now get to the personal, to the 7 secrets.
Mm.
So I'm going to just talk about them generally now because we don't have enough time for me to go into each one. But basically, I've been in sales, since I could talk, probably before then. And I've sold encyclopedias. I
You
worked in
did.
advertising agencies.
Mm,
I've paid my dues, let me put it that way.
mm.
When you have to sell encyclopedias in the
Respect.
freezing cold suburbs of Montreal on commission
Yeah.
to pay your rent, you learn how to sell,
Mm,
believe me. So I had an opportunity. I went to graduate school and I have a degree in management and organization development. And I had an opportunity as a professor to weave together my real world experience with academic discipline. And I created a spectrum, if you will, of 6 different influence styles. And how did I do that? I observed the behaviors of successful influence practitioners. And so the way this works is that, and this is in my book and in the course, you take a questionnaire. It has 55 questions, but there's a shorter version. And you find out across the 6 styles what your style distribution is. Now, it doesn't mean that you are, like one style, for example, is called telling.
right.
It doesn't mean that you're labeled such. It just means that that was the best idea you've had so far. It's your default. And it's really just out of ignorance. And I mean that in the kindest way. That you may
It's
not
taken in, it's taken in that way, Elaina. So
and I'm not talking to you anyways, right? But it's but it's simply that you may not have known that there are 5 other approaches. Now, here's the humbling part and the 7th secret. It matters less what your own influence score is. What this does is gives you better radar. It gives you, let's say, 3D lenses, a prism through which to observe the person you're trying to influence. And so the 7th secret is basically that influence equals attentiveness and flexibility. That is that likes like.
right.
That we want to be influenced in a certain way, and that's usually the way we do it as well. So, for example, using that first style of telling, that is facts, figures, data, evidence. So, if that's something that gives you confidence in what someone else is proposing to you, the chances are that that's the way you tend to influence others.
Right.
And that's great. You may be successful 1/6 of the time.
Right.
So, what the whole teaching is about in a nutshell is to expand your repertoire of what you practice, what you try, so that it isn't so hit and miss, it's more strategic.
Right.
Okay, so basically, that's like the 7th secret. I do want to mention something, Tim. I'm not sure, but maybe your audience contains people who are consultants. So I would suggest go to my website and you'll see the description of the influence program. But I'm currently looking for what I call influence partners. And I've just appointed a few, one of them for Latin America. And I have several in the US, one for Kentucky and the Midwest. And so I'd be open to somebody in the UK. The world is a big place. And these are people who are already successful consultants in their own arena. They may be, for example, the people in Kentucky are selling strategic planning
Right.
to mid-sized companies. And so they have a natural opportunity to see that there might be an opportunity for that the company might need influence skills.
Right.
Okay. So, or for example, in India, the company is selling a big curriculum of leadership, and this would plug into their leadership program.
Right.
So I'm just putting it out. If anybody is interested in this opportunity to expand your own influence, make extra money, contact me.
Okay. So do you think, because some people often think that influence is like manipulation, is that right?
Great question. Yes. So I know that a lot of people, especially people who are kicking and screaming when it comes to selling, because a lot of people in my field, for example, in consulting, they come from the helping professions, from teaching or healthcare. And the idea of selling, even lawyers advertising was like so abhorrent at first. And so I like to look at the idea of manipulation, because if you feel unconsciously that you are manipulating, you won't do it because you don't feel good about it. So, what I like to help people clarify is that to look at how you view your influence attempt. So, I look at it in terms of intent and effect. So, the intent is, are my intentions honorable? Right? Do I intend to give you value, to teach you something, to in some way enrich your life? So that's positive.
Yeah.
And I like to say that influence is a power like electricity, and it can be used, or nuclear power, and it can be used for good or bad. So intent is one dimension. And then the other is effect. And that is, how do you feel over there as a result of my influence attempt? Do you feel that you've been enhanced, that you've learned something, that in some way our interaction has helped you learn something, be a better person?
Yeah.
And if I can answer those two things positively, then I would say it's positive influence. So that's really the way that I would clarify that. And the definition of influence, by the way, is that influence is the effect of my attempt to change your values, attitudes, and behavior. Now, you can't, you can observe the behavior. That would be evidence that I've influenced you in some way. If you buy something from me, or if I've influenced you to change your job or something. But I can also change your attitudes and values, and that's a little behind the scenes.
Right.
Okay.
And do you think that people were born with influence, or is it something that you can learn?
Excuse me.
It's okay.
I think some people, I mean, it can't be denied that some people just have a natural gift. But the thing, it's kind of perverse in a way, because when you say that he or she has the gift of gab, that's exactly not the way to influence people, right? Because if you're talking, you're not learning, and you're not listening,
you're not listening. Yeah.
and you're not listening. So I think there's a lot to be learned. I mean, I hear this all the time from clients and students, that once people learn this typology, it's kind of aha. You're kind of armed with an arsenal of skills and tools that you didn't even know existed. Yeah.
So walk us through again in terms of what you've put in the chat. So you've put access to a link to your website and a link to your online course.
Yes, the link to the online course is Easy Influence. The name of the website is easyinfluence.com / become an influence winner.
Okay. And that's in the chat, and it will go in the show notes.
It'll be in the show notes, and it'll
Okay.
be in the LinkedIn. It's already in my comment to you
On LinkedIn,
on
yeah.
LinkedIn.
So
Like,
if people are watching this, they'll see it in the comments.
and
Okay.
it's under your announcement
Yes,
of this show.
yes, and
And
your
then the
book.
second thing is I have a freebie,
Yeah.
and what that is these are stories. I mean, they happen to me. They are what I call 5 influence hacks.
Right.
And the way to get that is www.easyinfluence.com/ all one word, 5 influence hacks.
Oh, there's someone already ordering it on the phone.
Sorry, someone already ordered.
You see, the orders are already coming in, Elaina.
I have to disconnect.
It'll be they're wanting to buy stuff.
They're just, the paparazzi are already at the door.
And Rose has made a lovely comment as well.
Oh, good. Oh, good. Okay.
Thanks, Rose. And
okay.
And your books on Amazon worldwide?
They're all on Amazon. And as I say, the latest version of 7 Secrets of Influence is, might as well.
Oh, here he is. Yeah.
And this is 2021 version.
Right,
So
it's 2021
it's
version.
very new. And then there's another topic. And if you'd like to interview me on this someday, it's called U times 2.
Oh,
and
wow.
You can look it up. It's about peer mentoring in the modern age.
Right.
So but all the books are on Amazon.
Okay.
And yes.
And Elaina, we can find you on LinkedIn, can't we, or your website? And
LinkedIn or my website would be the best.
And it's Zuker without the C.
Correct. Thank you for clarifying that. And as I said, if anyone is interested in this influence partner opportunity, just write to me directly. My email is on my LinkedIn profile, under contact info, but it's also EZ4U@ezinfluence.com, or in the US, easy4U@easyinfluence.com.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for coming on, Elaina.
Well, thank you so much. I mean, I hope that there was enough good information. We were a little rushed for 20 minutes, but I hope people got a kernel of knowledge.
A kernel of knowledge. That's a great way of summarizing it. Thank you so much, Elaina.
Thank you so much for inviting me, Tim.
You're welcome.